wonderful people. We are a local company, a small company. We're owned by three women. Changing Spaces was started in 2008. There is freebies coming around. There's one, this is going to be our homework assignment that we're going to talk about, throw out different things. The other one is our brochure. And on the back of the brochure, there's a picture of three gals, and those are the three owners, myself, Linda Cotter, and Susan Reed. And Linda Cotter started the business in 2008 with her sister. And they started the business after they moved their parents out of a large farmhouse down near Auburn, Nebraska, and they moved them into Lincoln into a retirement community. Has anyone here ever had to do that for a loved one, a family member? Can you raise your hand? Okay. So anyone who's done that knows, boy, it's a lot of work, isn't it? And it's not just about putting stuff in boxes and getting the boxes moved. Lots of times there's a lot of emotions that go along with that. So after Linda and her sister went through this process, moving their parents, her sister was a full-time teacher, Linda was a stay-at-home mother, they were taking care of their own children. They realized, boy, what do people do who maybe don't have kids in the area, who can do this for them, or maybe who have kids in the area, but guess what, those kids are busy because they've got full-time jobs and they're raising children of their own. So that's where the idea for the company started. I'm gonna, let's see, there we go. Yeah, there's us. Myself and Susan Reed and Linda Cotter, we're the three owners now. And we are part of a national organization. This idea is not unique to Lincoln. There is an organization called the National Association of Senior Move Managers, and that's what we're called. We're called Senior Move Managers. We help folks downsize and move, and most of the time they are seniors. And no, there's no age minimum requirement to be our client. So we have helped people even in their 40s who were just overwhelmed and didn't have time to do the packing and moving themselves. But our focus really is the seniors. And so there's organizations and there's businesses like us all throughout the nation. We're the only ones here in Lincoln. There are 3 businesses like us in Omaha. And then that's it, unfortunately, for the state of Nebraska. There's no one else serving greater Nebraska at the moment. But if you go to the national organization's website, you can click on a map of the United States, and you'll be able to find a senior move manager in just about every state. So if you have a loved one or a relative in another state that you think, boy, they could really use this, there are other companies out there that can help. Today I'm going to talk about some of the things that we try to communicate to our clients just from our experiences. And if you look on the inside of this brochure, it talks about all of our services. And what we really try to do is we try to take our clients by the hand and guide them through that moving process start to finish. So the first thing we can do is help sort. Okay, and that means big stuff and little stuff. The big stuff, we can take a look at their new place, wherever they're moving to. Lots of times, probably 80% of our clients are moving into a retirement community. And boy, I don't know if any of you have experience in any of these retirement communities in town, but some of them are pretty darn nice. We've moved a lot of folks into the Landing, and I was just at the Landing last weekend for a luncheon, and they were giving tours of places. And I think the largest apartment over at the Landing is like 2,200 square feet. Huge, I know. And whenever we move clients into one of those apartments, I always joke with them, hey, you're not getting a whole lot of sympathy from me because this is bigger than my house. Right? But when we can get the dimensions of their new apartments, and then we can measure their furniture, their individual furniture. Maybe you got a chief secretary that came over on the boat from Norway with their grandparents, and the little bench that their husband made in the workshop. So we can measure everything exactly to scale, customized to their furniture, and we can help them figure out, will my China hutch fit here? Is my couch and 2 end tables are going to fit, or maybe I need to bring 1 end table, all of that kind of stuff. And then we can help them sort through the little stuff. How many cookie sheets do I need to bring from my kitchen? How many pots and pans? Should I bring my crock pot? Should I bring my big roaster? What about my stock drawer? What about my filing cabinet? We will help them sort through all of that if that's what they need. So we can also help with sorting just the physical work of sorting, bringing things down from the attic or bringing things up from the basement. All they have to do is sit in the chair and go through it themselves and make the piles, and we'll bring the stuff to them. And then the second step after we get them sorting is we do all the packing. We provide all the boxes and all the packing materials, and we do all the packing and label all of the boxes as to where they're going to go in the new home, which one it's going to go to. We contact the movers. We're not the movers. We're strong, but we're not that strong. But we can line up the movers and be there on moving day, making sure the movers get everything that they're supposed to get and nothing they're not supposed to get. And then we follow them over to the new place, and we direct the movers. Okay, couch is going to go here. This is her end table. It goes on this side. This is his end table. It goes on this side. This lamp stays in the living room. This lamp goes into the guest room. We know all of that by that point. And then we help them get the boxes in the right room. And we start opening up those boxes right away. And our goal is that night on move day, our clients, their beds are made, their lamps, clocks, televisions are plugged in and working. They've got their clothes in their closets, and their kitchen and bathroom utensils are out. So they can feel comfortable that first night in their home. And the majority of our clients are in their 80s and 90s. So you can imagine it's extremely important that they feel comfortable and that they have access to all that stuff that first night that they move in, because we've all moved before and we all know how chaotic that can sometimes feel. Then we'll come back the next day and we'll do the knickknacks and the art and the books and the nonsense things. And usually by 1 or 2 days after the move, even when we've got clients moving into those 2,200 square foot apartments, we've got them completely unpacked. We take all the boxes and all the packing materials away, and they're settled. And then the third phase is helping them let go of the things that they couldn't take with them. If they did have to downsize, we help them by finding new homes with stuff they couldn't take. We can run estate sales for them. We've got one going on this weekend, actually. If they don't have enough for an estate sale, we can help them in other ways. We can sell some things online or help them donate the rest of the stuff so that the house is completely cleared out. So if the new owners are taking to their city even a couple days after their move, we can help facilitate that. So just some guidelines that we try to tell our clients from our experience working with a lot of different kinds of situations. We always encourage clients, we always say it's never too early to start. We want them to avoid one of those crisis moves. Any of you that have helped a family member move probably have been in a situation where maybe someone has fallen and broken their hip, maybe a spouse has passed away, they're in the hospital and the doctor says you can't go back home. So now suddenly, instead of them being able to easily go around to all the beautiful facilities in Lincoln and take a tour and have lunch and figure out which place feels right to them, suddenly someone's just on the phone looking for an empty bed, right? And that's not ideal. If they can't go home again, it's not going to be them that's sorting through all of their prized possessions. It's going to be the kids, or it's going to be a company like Crazy Spaces. And we don't know the difference between the vase they bought at a garage sale 5 years ago and the vase that their great aunt gave them, when they were a child. Right? We don't know what's important to them. So that's part of our homework that we're going to get to in a little bit, is starting that process early and sorting through your belongings, right sizing, getting rid of the stuff that isn't quite as important, and really cherishing and displaying and keeping the things that are important. So making those decisions early. Then the person can be actively involved in not only where they're going, but what they're going to be bringing with them. And then also they're young enough and able-bodied enough to really enjoy all of the activities and amenities that go along with all of these retirement communities. Because, again, is anyone here familiar with some of the retirement communities? I mean, boy, if you're not, and if you get a chance to go to some of them, they are more active than I am, absolutely. I mean, they have book clubs going on, and they have exercise classes, and they have field trips, and they're always going out and doing things. And so retirement communities really aren't, sometimes in our heads, I think we think about a nursing home, a double room nursing home where people are just sitting in their rooms all day. That is not at all what the retirement communities are like, especially the independent living. And even the assisted living retirement homes are very active. So, all right, enough with the retirement home. I'm here talking to all of you guys, even if you're not planning to move, okay? Even if I'm 31, even if you're not going to be going to the home for another 40 years, God willing, you can still probably right size. And these are some of those questions that you can ask yourself. The first one is, are you able to quickly and easily find items in your home when you are looking for them? Like your passport, or your birth certificate, or your children's birth certificate, or your marriage certificate, or what else? Your swimsuit, or the keys to the lawnmower. Are there items in your home that you no longer use or love that you've just sort of gotten used to having there? This kind of applies to knickknacks, which we're going to talk a little bit about later. Maybe you started a collection of precious moments, or maybe someone started one for you. Don't you love it when that happens? And, okay, maybe they don't mean a whole lot to you anymore, but, okay, the Hero cabinet's there, and they're just in there, and you've sort of gotten used to having them there. Could items you no longer use in your home be better used by someone else? This is something that helps me think about. I have a problem with Coke and now that, I mean, I can easily pick out probably 3 or 4 coats that I haven't worn in over a year, right? There are lots of people here in Lincoln that could use that coat much better than I'm using it. So thinking about things that way could certainly help you. If you've got tons and tons and tons of towels that you never use, there are plenty of people here in Lincoln, or plenty of animal shelters that would love to have those towels and things. Okay. And so we provide right sizing and relocation services at Changing Spaces. That's what we call it. And people sometimes say, well, what is right sizing? I'll tell you a secret, right sizing is really downsizing most of the time. Most of the time, not all the time. Sometimes we have moved a couple of clients who have actually upsized. They've moved from an apartment into a larger home. But usually they are downsizing. But we call it right sizing because we feel like it really can have a positive spin on it. I would say over 95% of the time when we move a client, they always say to us, boy, I wish I would have done this sooner. This feels so great. Just let go of all of this excess stuff. And we always say that right sizing is really a gift. It's a gift to yourself because you get to live in a more clean environment. Okay, whether you're staying in your home or you're moving, even if you're staying in your home and you right size your belongings in it, that's going to be a gift to yourself because boy, you're going to feel a lot better. Okay, and you're not going to have so much clutter around you. Also a gift to your spouse. Probably some of you have been in this situation, have seen this situation with your loved ones. We've helped several clients who are moving after their spouse has passed away. And one gal that always comes to my mind, she lived out on an acreage down on Tulsa Road, and her husband passed away from cancer. And he was not terribly old. He was still in his 60s, they weren't yet 70s. But that happens lots of times. They get cancer, they pass away. She spent the last 3 years of his life nursing him. And they had 2 grown children, and they had never thrown anything out. Okay, but they were still living active lives. They were in their 60s. He passed away. Suddenly it became clear to her she did not want to live out on this acreage all by herself. She was going to move actually to Colorado to be near her daughter. She called us. She lived in this huge house, 2-story house with a basement. They'd never thrown anything away for the last 35 years. And here she was alone, having to sort through all of it. And we worked with her all summer. We worked with her for 3 months, actually. There were boxes of things from their travels that she and her husband had taken together. And she said more than once, boy, I wish he were here to do this with me, because if he were here and we were sorting through this would be a fun activity. But when she was doing it alone, boy, it was really painful. Another fellow we met with, not too long ago, his wife passed away, and I think they were probably in their 70s, a little bit older, but they lived in a huge house right off of Sheridan. This woman, I have never seen more china in my life than I have in this house, and I've seen a lot of china, and she had china and china and china, and she had the Santa Claus collection and all this stuff. She died and left her husband alone, and he said to us during that initial consultation, boy, that was a dirty trick, he told me, passing away and leaving me with all of this, because what is this man supposed to do in a huge house filled with china and Santa Claus collections and all this stuff, So if you go through the right sizing process with your spouse, it really is a gift to your spouse because you're not going to be leaving them with the burden of doing it by themselves after you're done. And then of course it's also a gift to your children for the same reason. Okay. There is a nice little quote here, it's a little gruesome, but it's true. Everyone gets organized at some point, and you might just not be around for it. And that's true. Everyone in this room is going to have all of our affairs tied up very neatly. And it's a question of whether we want to do it, or our spouse is going to have to do it, or our kids are going to have to do it. One gal said to me during the presentation I did, she said, yeah, but that's the ultimate revenge on my kids, having them have to go through stuff. Okay, that might be one way you can look at it, but especially if you've been in that situation with your own parents. I know both of my parents went through that when my grandparents died. My mother was an only child, so it all fell to her. My dad had one sister, but she lived in another state, so most of it fell to him. If you've gone through it yourself, having to deal with all of your parents' things, I think you're probably going to have a different view on it. I'm very lucky. My dad always said, I do not want to be a burden to my children, because I think his parents in the end, they were kind of a burden onto their children. So that's one of his goals. All right, now here's our 50 things. This is the yellow sheet that I handed out. And I'm gonna make the bold claim that if you throw out 50 things, you're not even going to realize they're gone, okay, out of your house. And when I say throw out, I don't really mean throw out. You could sell some of this stuff, or you could donate some of it. Some of it probably will be trash. but get it out of your house because I guarantee you we all have at least 50 things in our house that we don't really use, including myself. And I have a pretty organized house, and I always say if you had my job, you'd have an organized house too because you spend so much time dealing with other people's stuff, you just want to go home and you want to get rid of your stuff too. But even I can stand to go through this. 5 things in 10 categories. The first one is books and magazines. Okay? How many of us have a 2-month backlog of magazines at home that we haven't read? Raise your hand. Okay. Okay. And you know, when you find yourself having that backlog of magazines on hand, you really do have to kind of ask yourself, well, you know, is this something that I'm really interested in? Do I really want to keep paying for the subscription if I don't have the time, or if I'm not choosing to make the time to read these magazines? One magazine is probably not there that I just had to stop subscribing to is the Oprah magazine. I love it, but boy, there's a lot of text in that magazine, and I just am not getting it read every month. So I had to stop subscribing to that one. Books is another thing. People have they have a strange relationship with books. If you have the complete works of Shakespeare at home, and you're not a Shakespeare professor, it's okay to let go of them, okay? So we all have these books at home that we think we're going to read, or that we think it looks nice, if we have them on our bookshelf, or, you know, maybe we read them once when we were in graduate school, and, you know, if you're honest with yourself and you know you're never, when it comes time for you to pick out a new book, if you're not going to yourself and you're not choosing one of those books, one of the classics, even if it's a classic, it's okay to let it go, okay? I'm giving you permission. And if you have books you have read and you've enjoyed, if you're not the kind of person that's going to read them again, set them free. Okay? I have a few books that I will read and reread, but most novels, after I read them once, I'm not going to read them again. You know. So resources for getting rid of your books. You can bring them into any branch of the library, and they will take them. They'll give you a donation receipt, and what they do, they'll either add them to their collection or else they'll sell them in their annual book sale. Of course, there's a retired teacher's book sale. Their drop-off is a little confusing. It's a big red store over by Target on 48th Street, but it's only certain days, 8 months out of the year. So I think that bringing it to the library is the easiest. Yeah, okay. Number 2, clothing. Clothing. I'm not just talking about shirts and pants here, although we probably all have some clothes like that in our closet that either don't fit us or we don't really like them, or, you know, for whatever reason we don't wear them, they don't fit our lifestyle. But even socks and underwear and pajamas, I'm sure you guys all have some of those items that have seen better days, okay? Go through them, just find 5 items, okay? See if you can find 5 to let go of. The third one is kitchen utensils and gadgets. My husband and I moved recently in June, and as I was packing up the kitchen stuff, I realized we had 4 cheese slicers. Okay? And again, this is talking about your personal lifestyle. We are not the kind of people that have wine and cheese parties. If you are, maybe you need 4 cheese slicers. We are not, okay? And so I got rid of 2 of them. We still have 2 cheese slicers, which is probably one more than you need, but it's plenty. Those kinds of things, a smoothie machine or a bread maker or a fondue pot. If you're honest with yourself and you really are not using these things, they take up a lot of room, let them go, all right? And then number 4 is knickknacks, which we've talked about a little bit. Even if it's a collection maybe that you started yourself, my mother-in-law collects these little ceramic shoes, you know, you probably see those, and she has a curio cabinet, and, you know, the curio cabinet is filled with shoes that people have given her, you know, for gifts. It's a good thing when you know someone collects something, because then you never have to guess what to get them for a gift. You just get them one of those. You know, finally she said, thank you everyone, but my curio cabinet is full, don't get me any more shoes, okay? If those ceramic shoes are not bringing you the joy that they once brought you, let them go, okay? I will say another thing, and as dangerous, I'm sure you guys are all very honest these days, but don't expect your knick-knack collection to give you big returns, right? Do not think your Hummels are going to help you retire, because they're not, okay? We run a lot of estate sales. We ran 26 sales last year. We've probably already run 10 this year. We work with local appraiser Tom Bassett, who comes over and helps us appraise all of the things in our estate sale. You are not going to get rich on your Norman Rockwell plate collection or your Hummel collection or any of those things. So I hope you enjoyed them. I hope that's why you spent the money on them, and you weren't thinking of them as an investment. But if you're not enjoying them now, find a new place for them. Holiday decor is another thing, especially us women. I and it's Christmas, but for some of us it's not just Christmas, it's Easter and Thanksgiving and Halloween, and we've got lots and lots of decorations for every holiday on the calendar. One guideline that we'd like to tell people as far as Christmas decorations, because that's the one where it's really easy to get out of hand. Remember that, boy, those decorations and putting up those decorations and having the decorations is supposed to be fun, right? It's not a requirement for life. So the reason we have them is for fun. And putting them up should be fun too. Okay, and I speak from experience. My dear mother, she had probably 20 posts of Christmas decorations in the basement. And it took her 2 weeks to put all of them up, and by the end of those 2 weeks, none of us were having a Merry Christmas because she was so crabby and stressed out from putting up the Christmas decorations, right? It's ridiculous. So try to think about how much you enjoy. Maybe you would enjoy decorating for Christmas for 2 weeks. Okay, my mother didn't, and I don't either. I enjoy it for maybe a day, maybe a day and a half. Okay, so I have about maybe 5 cups of Christmas decorations. That's kind of a lot. And I can put all of those up in a day and a half. Okay, and then it's done. And then taking them down is always real great. So think about how much time you want to spend putting up those Christmas decorations and taking down those Christmas decorations, and then cap it off. And then every year weed through them, because boy, every year don't we find ourselves buying 1 or 2 more pieces of Christmas decorations. And by the time we're all 80, we're going to have a whole bunch. So try to read out every year as you accumulate. The next one is paperwork and mail. And maybe you all have a handle on this. I don't know if any of you bankers, I think you do. But, boy, we all keep a lot of financial papers that we don't need anymore, right? I remember, and of course this was a different era, but my parents, they were farmers, and we probably had 5 tall filing cabinets in our basement going back to the 70s of all the records. Now, they didn't keep it either, okay? And we really, in 2013, we really do not need to keep all of those records. So, I always think tax time is a good time because you're in there anyway, you're collecting all of your tax stuff, you might as well go through the rest of your files and get rid of the stuff that you don't need, okay? And again, you guys probably have, Union Bank has shredding days every once in a while, which is a great time to be bringing all of your shredding stuff. Trust me, when you're going to the retirement community, you do not want to be sitting there 3 days before the moving truck comes, feeding those things into the shredding machine one by one, because that has happened to us. You do not want that to happen. Pantry and food items. If you go into your pantry, I guarantee you will find some expired things. I just went to my fridge not too long ago, and I pulled out probably 7 or 8 things just from the door of the condiments that were expired, or else we tried them and we didn't like them, and I know we weren't going to use them again. So go through your refrigerator, go through your pantry. Maybe it's some of those jams and jellies and mixes that people give you again for gifts when they don't know what else to give you. If you're not going to be using them, get rid of them. If they're not expired, bring them to the food bank. If they are expired, throw them out as trash. Okay? And again, I speak from experience. We have had so many situations where we're helping a client move out of a house they've lived in for 40 years, and I'm packing up the pantry, and I'm pulling out cans of stuff that I know is older than I am. I know it because I look at that label, and I can tell it's from the 70s. Okay? So let's do that maybe once every year. Okay? Even if once every 6 months. Garage items, we always tell people to think about their garages early, and of course the first factor is because of weather. You don't want to be out there being forced to do it in July because you're moving at the beginning of August. You also don't want to be out there in January. You want to be out there in the spring and the fall, and it's comfortable to do so. And also because of hazardous waste pickup. Boy, getting rid of hazardous waste is a pain, isn't it? You kind of have to keep it around until those collection times come. There's only, I don't know, probably 6 collection times each year in Lincoln. So gather them together and then make notes of those collection times when you see them in the newspaper, because might as well get rid of them slowly over time rather than have a truckload of them when you're 85 years old and wanting to move up to a retirement community. Because again, that has happened several times to us. Number 9 is accessories, jewelry, hats, belts, purses. Let go of them. I just sold a bunch of my purses. I have another problem with purses. And, I realized I just use the same purse all the time. I don't tend to, change them out. And so I sold a bunch of purses, and, I probably got $50 out of them. So I'd rather have the $50 in my pocket than, a bunch of purses that I'm not using in my closet. Another thing I always say is if you are going to donate or sell things, might as well do it now rather than in 20 years. We've cleared out a lot of homes. And one guy that comes to mind, he was a single man, he's never married. He lived in a land and assisted delivering. He was probably in his late 80s. And he had been a professor at the university, but he'd been retired since, who knows when, probably the 80s sometime. And we were cleaning out his closet, and there were all of these dress shirts and ties and suits from the 60s, 70s, 60s and 70s, really. And we were donating them. And I thought, boy, isn't this kind of a shame, because the only reason someone's going to buy these or take these at one of the charity places is for a Halloween costume, right? They can't really be of any value to anyone who really needs a suit nowadays, okay? So you might as well donate your things while they're still somewhat current, because if you wait 20 years, then it's pretty much just going to be trash, okay? So you might as well donate them now while they still have some use left in them. Toiletry items is the last thing. We all have lotions that we don't like the scent of, or strange hair products that we bought because maybe this is a woman thing, I don't know. Because we thought we were going to use them, we ended up not using them, or perfumes, or whatever. Or expired medications, definitely, we all have that at home. So go through your toiletry items, find just 5 things, okay, in there that you can let go of. What have I heard about? Flushing medications is not necessarily the way to go. The one thing I remember hearing is crushing them up and then putting them with old coffee grounds is a good, safe way to dispose of old medications if you have some of those. So, something that we tell our seniors, because I think it's especially prevalent in seniors, but it's probably prevalent in all of us who all have emotional ties to things, is to expect some emotions. Again, this is when we are moving our clients, we know that it's a lot more than just putting stuff in boxes and getting them moved. The reason we do this is because we really have a heart for helping people through this transition. You can hire 2 men in the truck to carry your stuff in boxes. Okay, absolutely. However, they're not, well, first of all, they're not going to unpack you and get you settled in your new place, but they're also not going to sit with you and help you go through your doctor and help you go through your filing cabinet and sit there and listen to you tell stories about your life, or laugh with you or cry with you as you're going through some of these life stories and life memories. So that's really what Changing Spaces offers, and we do it because we know that it's not easy. We do it because we've all been through it with our own family members, and that's why we want to help other folks through it. Expect to feel overwhelmed or nostalgic sometimes. You feel angry. We try not to look at the situations with rose-colored glasses too much, even though for the vast majority of our clients, this move is a positive thing. That doesn't mean it's, okay, they're probably moving out of a house where they raise their children, or they're moving out of a house where they lived with their spouse for many years. In a lot of cases, they know this might be their last move that they make. That's not easy. Okay, so some of our clients who are just my role models, they really go into it being excited and ready for that next chapter in life. And more than a little bit, it's scary. So, but we always tell our clients to go slow and take breaks and drink plenty of water and try to maintain your normal routine. Don't try to do it all at once. That's why we say start early. Do not think that you're going to go through your house that you've lived in for 20, 30, 40, or 50 years. We've had a couple folks that have been in their house for 60 plus years. Don't think you're going to do that in a week or 2 weeks. Okay? Go slow, do a drawer at a time, do a closet at a time. Pretty soon that closet is going to turn into a room. You're going to see that progress. You're going to go over to the next room, start in one corner, work your way around. Don't try to do it alone. Hopefully you can have some help from your family members or from friends, or something like Changing Spaces. Sometimes it's nice to have a neutral third party in there, because sometimes, I know this can happen, especially with my dad, boy, those family relationships make things a little bit difficult sometimes. So sometimes they butt in heads. Having a third party is nice sometimes. And of course, the main thing we want to get across to our clients is that we hope that they live their best lives now. And collecting moments, not things, is really what it's all about at this stage of the game. When our clients get to the final chapter of their lives, they realize, hey, it's not about all of these things that are surrounding me are not bringing me happiness. It's my relationships with my friends and my family members that is going to make the real difference. And so we try to get them to focus on the memories and the present relationships and the present moments and memories that they can make, rather than the things they're letting go of. One thing I want to touch on is family mementos, family history stuff. Pictures is another thing. I love family history, and I am the last person that's ever going to tell anyone to throw out anything family history related. However, sometimes it can get to be a bit much. I don't know if any of you have experienced this, but um, some of us end up being the family historians for our families. Like I said earlier, my mother was an only child. I have one brother, okay, so everything from her side of the family came to her, okay, and now she's passed away. So now everything from her side of the family has now filtered down to myself and my brother. Let's be honest, ladies, when it's yourself and your brother last time, that means it's just you, right? So, that is, I mean, generations upon generations, because my mother's mother was also the only girl, and her other two brothers, who didn't have any children, so not only was she the only child, she was also the only grandchild. So we have many generations worth of things passed down to us. There's a limited amount of things that you can save unless you want to turn your house into a museum. And sometimes a lot of guilt can be associated with those things. But trying to figure out what's important and what those memories are tied to. If the actual object is really necessary for those memories to be present, or if you can still hold on to the memory while getting rid of the object. One example that comes to mind is a crazy example is my great uncle had an accordion. Okay, my grandmother's brother. He played the accordion, and he was a bachelor. He never got married. He never had any children. My mother was his only heir, so he had it. Now I had it. Okay, a big accordion. He died, I don't know, in the 60s. I'd never met him. I've heard stories about him. I know all of that. I know his life story. I've seen pictures of him. I have a picture of him sitting on the farmhouse steps playing the accordion. Do I need to keep the accordion? No, I got rid of the accordion. Okay, sorry. But I realized, okay, this is a cool old thing, and I know who owned it. I don't know the person personally that owned it, but I realized that the picture of my great uncle playing the accordion sitting next to my grandmother was a lot more valuable than the accordion itself. When my daughter grows up, she's really not going to know who this guy is, okay? And so I can show her the picture and tell her the story about this man. We don't necessarily need to have the accordion itself, all right? Another thing that I inherited was my dad's mother's wedding china, okay? And I think it's really pretty, actually. However, I said earlier, we are not the kind of people that throw wine and cheese parties. We're also not the kind of people that have large dinner parties, okay? But it's okay to, if you don't want to keep the whole set of china, you can keep just one set. You can hang just the plate, just the dinner plate on the wall. You can have just a teacup. You can put the paper clips in it, okay? You can incorporate these things into your everyday life so that you see them, you remember, your memory comes up because you see those objects, and now, more importantly, your children and the other people in your house also see those things, and hopefully they hear the story about why those things are important, okay? Because if this plate is hanging on the wall and you don't ever talk about it, guess what? When my daughter grows up, she's not going to value that plate, okay? That's going to go in the pile of Goodwill. But if she grows up and I tell her this belongs to my grandmother, it was her wedding china, they got married in 1940, whatever, then suddenly that plate is going to mean something. Not because she ever met my grandmother, because she didn't, but because she remembered me talking about it. And so if you do have specific items that you hope to pass along someday to your family members, don't expect just the object to be enough, because it's not. Okay? They need to hear the story about why that object is important, and they need to see it. They need to see it more than once. We've pulled out china at an estate sale. I remember we went up on Sumner Street. We went up into the attic and pulled out boxes that had been up there since who knows when. Unwrapped a bunch of china, and I looked at the newspaper, and the newspaper, it was wrapped in 1974. Okay, so it had been wrapped in the attic in a box since 1974. No wonder their 4 children didn't want these dishes, and no wonder they're going to be now in the estate sale and not really get a whole lot of money, to be honest. Because they've been wrapped away since the 70s. If that china had really meant something to our clients, and they had shared it with their children, then maybe one of the children would have wanted it. So that's always something to keep in mind when you think about family heirlooms. How we do our pricing, for anyone who knows someone who might be in need of our services, we do free in-home consultations to do all of our pricing. I'd love to be able to say, you live in a 3-bedroom home, you're moving to a 1-bedroom apartment at the Grand Lodge, it's going to be this much. However, we all know everyone has different amounts of stuff, and everyone works